Hello class, today's tutorial is about text. We are going to look at everything concerning text and things like text color, text background, text alignment. We are going to look at a mixture of text and pictures, the basics so far. Then we shall look at advanced ways of text and pictures when we come to what we call positioning, how to position your text or pictures or a mixture of videos on a web page. We shall also study those under layout, and we shall study much more when we come to things like Flexbox. But for now, we are going to look at text and everything concerning text: line spacing, word spacing, character spacing, fonts. All those are under text, and we shall be able to cover them in about maybe 3-4 tutorials. Then we shall be good to go to another topic. So let's begin. Once again, always begin by opening your folder where you put your work. Mine is in documents, HTML and CSS. I press OK. For Windows, you would be pressing select folder. So once my folder is open, I should be able to see all these files so far that I have uploaded. This one was a live class. You can see the CSS arranged. You can see my images so properly arranged. Images folder. This is how your work should look like. So let's begin. We begin by creating two new files, one for CSS and another one as HTML. By pressing Ctrl N, Ctrl S for saving, and now we can say we are under HTML and CSS. So we can call this text.html. You go to your save as type, you select the HTML type, you save this under CSS. Open the CSS folder. It is also going to be text.css. Save as, file type is CSS. Save. So immediately text is here under HTML and CSS. Text is here under .css. We begin our page. We have the head, we have the title, and we can call this text. We have meta. We can call this character set. UTF-8. We can link the pages. This would be // to the CSS, and then I pick the text.css. I head to the body, and here we have nothing so far. So I can come here to my folder and then double click on this, or drag and drop to the web browser that you could be using, and you would be good to go. So it will only display the title. There is nothing else we have in here. So go back to HTML and begin. We can create a class called food, and then we say maybe H1. We say food types. We can say H2. Would be which kind of food do you like, with a question mark. So we copy paste just create more paragraphs and all those things. So we are going to use text color. There are several ways we can do this. One is by selecting a class. Here you can say .foot, under .foot go to h1, and then we say color this thing. Maybe you can pick, say, like crimson. Let's see how crimson looks like. We refresh and crimson looks like that. We can also change the color of h2 by doing the same thing. We can say food, then pick h2 and say color could be golden road. Refresh, there we are. So we have created different colors under the same class name. We could also say that body can maybe begin with it here. We can say body, that whatever is whatever falls on the body. Right now when we refresh, there is nothing. Whatever else is not defined under h1 or h2 and is not under this class but is on the page, then it should be named, should be colored dark cyan. So we can pick a paragraph here and say testing body color. When we refresh our page, we shall see that that is dark cyan. Why? Because we said that the body part of the page should be with a color called dark cyan. So let us look at text background. We can look at text background. We come here, giving the text a certain background. We can come here, we pick this same thing. We say HR where, then we paste this. We can change maybe the class to types. The rest can remain the same. So we can, when we refresh our page, this is what we see. Because there is no major coloring, we have said they are all picking the color that we set at the body. So you can now see its purpose. If we've given no color, then the color of the body will take over. So we can say .types, and here we pick H. Okay, before we even go that, we can say background color could be light, let's say light slate gray. When we refresh, you realize that the whole part, the whole class is given that particular background, but we're interested in certain sections of this class, so we can say types. Under types, we say please pick H1 and give it that background. So now when we refresh our page, we shall see that only H1s have that background. I like making sure that they look neater. Pick the width of around 600 pixels, and there we go. So we can as well say that maybe now go to types, pick H2 this time, and give it a background color. You can say background or background color. You can even say this, it will still give us what we want. The color here could be maybe light sky blue. When we refresh, it is what we see. We can pick the width to be 600 pixels. We go back and refresh, and then that is what we have. So we have different backgrounds for different elements, H1, H2. You could as well color the paragraph. You can try it out for your purposes of understanding, you can try giving, let me put it here, creating a background color for the paragraph. So make sure you try this. Make sure you try that as you do this text background. Let us look at text aligner now. But before that, we can maybe a bit neat and come here and apply H3 and call this one text color. Then come here, apply an H3 and call this text background. Then we can come here and apply H3 and we call, so it's going to be HR, the third one we are going to look at, and then we call this text align, such that when we refresh our page, we see text background, text color, then text align. We can add some CSS to it. We can say H3 what should happen to it? Background should be green, width could be, let's begin with 500 pixels, text align center, then we can say color white smoke. So when we refresh, our H3 will now look like that. Yeah, quite better. We can apply a border radius of around 4 pixels. So to create the curves at the end of those, you can even reduce this maybe to around the 350. Okay, so for every H3, that is how it will look like, and it would be better. Let me show you something. If we terminate or comment out the green, rather the width, this is what would happen. It would be centered at the very center of the whole page. But when we say width, then we are simply forcing it to just occupy a width of 300 pixels out of 1000 pixels. That would be the maximum for our page. And then be able to achieve this still. This is the left and right alignment that we have used. So we are going to look at text alignment, and we have 3 or 4 types, one of it being left, which is the default, another one being right, another one being center, and another one being justify. So let us begin with the first 3. We shall end with justify. We can say, let me pick this. You can just pick this, then I come here and paste it, change the class now to type. So when I refresh, it looks like this. By default, all of them are left. They are picking this color from the body tag. So now we can come here and say type. It is a class, so we begin with a dot type. What are we looking for? We are saying that all H1s should be centered, text align center. So we use a CSS property called text align for us to be able to align them centrally. Another one could be type, but this time around pick H2. and we are saying that text align should be maybe right. Okay, then we are saying paragraph type, pick a paragraph. Now text align, whether we do this or not, by default it is left, but to be sure that this class was working, color can give it a different color, tomato. And maybe we can even increase its font size 30, such that we are able to see that this class would have affected it. So when we refresh, remember each one should be at the center, this right, and this should stay left, but with the font size of 30 and color of tomato. When we refresh, that is exactly what we get, each one at the center, each two that towards the right or at the right hand. And now we have this also being affected. So that is text align for the three of those. Let us look at justify. We can just pick some wording here. For your case, you might need to type it maybe. Let me pick some wording here. Even if I stopped here, can pick some wording and can come here and create another class called dot justify, and maybe create a paragraph here and then paste my right. When I refresh, I will have this like that. The color once again is from the body. Then I can copy this and maybe paste it 3 times. There is something I want you to see. Currently all of them are on the same line. Why? Because it is the same wording, the same formatting, the same size. So you might think it is already justified, but it is not. We can, for example, on this paragraph, remove this. Then on that paragraph, we maybe remove that. So when we go back, refresh, and you can see that they are actually not justified. So that is what we are going to look at. We are going to look at justification of text, just like you do it in Word, especially while dealing with your Word projects, or you want to write something that will look nice. Maybe it is a letter. In most cases, that is what you do. Justify, make stuff looks nice. We can come here, dot justify. What are we picking? Okay, we can pick the whole class or the paragraph. In case this class had things like H2 or other images, so you don't want to affect everything. Maybe you only want paragraphs in that class, so it is better you do that. Justify. Then the descendant, combinator selector, and like we had talked last time, I told you it is the most commonly used type of selector, and you can see that indeed it is. So we can say text align, justify. When we refresh our page, you see there is nothing going on. Then you start getting worried. But the reason is this page, these lines are not covering the whole page. So you won't be able to see what we are trying to do. If all of them were covering the whole page, and overflowing I mean having these paragraphs to be even go down here like blah blah blah, basic fundamentals, blah 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 blah, and then down here you have something else, then this would create the justification very fast. But also, assuming that you only want these words to stop somewhere like here, cover this a certain number of pixels on your web page, maybe 400, because this was at 400. Maybe you only want text to stop here, cover 400 pixels, slightly above a quarter a page. What do? You can simply add width. just put width here of 400 pixels. When we refresh, they were forced to 400 pixels. Okay, the same space here, but the most important thing is now you can see this text being justified. So whatever, now we can go back and add. Maybe we can pick this thing here, copy and add it at the end here, and also here. When we refresh, see how it is when we refresh our page. See, now we have others being added on, but also under justification. Okay, under justification. So let us have another type of alignment. This one is called horizontal alignment. The one we've just looked at, that is left to right, playing around there, horizontal alignment. But we can also align text vertically. We can align text together with images. So let us try both of them for vertical alignment. So let's come back here in our HTML. We can say HRBR, and then we pick the H3 and we say vertical alignment. We are going to begin with just text. We can say vertical as our class, and then maybe we just pick this H1 here only. So when we refresh our page, that is what we should see, vertical alignment. And then we have fold types. So we have looked at left, center, right, and justify. Let us do vertical alignment. I'm going to show you one of the best ways to align text vertically. Then I will show you another one that deals with text and images. So we can go to our CSS, and then we say dot vertical as a class. Told you, if you don't remember the spelling, please make sure you copy the spelling from the other side, otherwise you will not see any effect taking place. So vertical alignment, we can give this thing a height of, say, for the start, let us call this 30 pixels, but you won't see it. We can only do this. We can say width. We can first create a box around it. Width maybe of 400 pixels. Okay, and then we create a background, could be green. So we have height, we have width, we have background. When we refresh, this is what we get. We can increase the height now to 80 pixels. There we are. 80 pixels look like that. So to center this vertically, meaning it should move down to at least like here, we can call this, we can add on something that we call line height. Line height, we say 80 pixels or so. When we refresh our page, this is now vertically aligned. So what is causing that? It means whenever you want to vertically align or vertically center align your text, you can use height and line height, but they must have the same number of pixels. If now we have line height as 80, height should also be 80, such that you can realize what you want, or else you won't get it. Meaning we can now say text align center, and when we refresh, it is both vertically aligned and horizontally aligned. As simple as that. You can play around with many of these things. You can add on, if you want add the code to be a little longer, you can add on here and maybe call this 8 pixels. You will see making it more round. See the edges. If we are going to look at other things, I won't add them here. Text shadow, we can look at the box shadow. We give it a shadow now. We shall do that. When we reach there. Another way is the mixture of text and images. We can say vertical alignment. I can just put a line here to differentiate the two. We can say dot mixture as my class name, and the top alignment here, rather the vertical alignment, we have the mixture of images and text. We have top, middle and bottom, just like how you see in Microsoft Word or Excel, that you can align this information at the top. Especially if you are dealing with tables, you can align it at the top, you can align it at the middle, or you can align this text at the bottom. So we are going to begin with top, meaning we are dealing with top alignment. We say paragraph. You can say this is sky codes. If that is my trademark, I can say super. You both know the TM usually is at the top of what the trademark is. So TM should be a superscript. Then I can add in my image and say image. Where is it located? Inside images, and I am picking the logo. Alternate text, I can add it on or not. For now, let me leave it. So here, what should somebody be able to see? We are saying that this is, we are closing our paragraph, this is Sky Code's logo. Maybe something like that. When we refresh our page, this is what we see. Okay, this is, you can see the superscript here. We can add on another class here of the same thing. Let me put some BR to create some space in between here, double BR as maybe, create some space here. So I can call this middle, then I do BR, I paste this, I call this bottom. So when I refresh for now, this is what you see. Okay, all are at the same area. It is being displayed in the same way. So we can now see, what we want to deal with is the image. The text can just stay the way it is. We can say the class name is top, pick the image, go to the top class and pick the image, and the vertical align should be top. Okay, when we refresh, you can see the text is up and the logo is down. So we are vertically aligning this image together with our text. We can use the same thing here, and the class here could be middle, and then we say vertical align middle. When we refresh our page, we are targeting this class now. There we are. You can look at that this has gone surely to the top. This is around the middle of the whole of this image. We pick the third one, which was the bottom. Class name was bottom. We are saying vertical align, take it to the bottom, so it will be the opposite of top. When we refresh, there it is at the bottom. So you can simply say that by default, or slightly by default, vertical alignment is usually aligned at the bottom. There is some slight change that pushes it to the bottom, but when we refresh, you can see they are almost at the bottom. When we go back, keep focusing on this bottom section here. When we refresh, it slightly moves the picture at the bottom. So in the next tutorial we shall be looking at text spacing, text transformation, decoration, and indentation, line height, and all those other things that we shall need to cover.